Hello fans of our video content. Don't pass by. Give us a like if you like what we do. And be sure to subscribe so that every exciting story finds its way straight to you. Your likes are our source of inspiration for new masterpieces, and to subscribe means to contribute to our common development. So, without a long introduction, let's dive into today's story. Little Sins. Chapter 7. At home, Wendy and I discussed how much we should tell Marie and analyzed what I had already told her. Wendy wanted to keep it a secret, not wanting to ruin their relationship. It would be hard for her best friend to openly admit to cheating with Tom. I felt bad that she had cheated on me, but I was proud of her for admitting that she had done just that. I thought about all the things people say when they cheat, especially that it was just a hookup thing. My wife took it to a new low. It was just a little gift, not even a hookup, according to her. Now, a week later, thanks to her mother and our seductive teenager, she seems to have done a complete U-turn. She looked up in surprise as I pulled her to me. "I love you so much," I told her softly. Despite that, I was still leaning toward letting the bastard take responsibility for what he had done. Wendy begged me to do it as a last resort, for Marie's sake, not the son of a bitch's. She still wanted to make things right, so I finally relented and told her she'd deal with Marie on her own. I excused myself to get busy wrapping presents when the girls called out to me from the hallway. "You have baby duty. I just put her down. We have one errand to run. It won't take long." "I see. Have fun," I told them. I could use the privacy. I wasn't the world's best gift wrapper. Half an hour had passed when I heard them return. I was stacking presents under the tree. Sadly, because of all the craziness, we still hadn't put it up. There was one more thing to do. I turned toward the door and was surprised as hell to see my sister-in-law Alice standing nervously in the doorway. "John," she greeted softly. "Can I talk to her, please?" I walked to the door and waved at her. She should be back any moment. "We need to be quiet. Ginny's taking a nap." "I can come back later," she said. "Please come in. Have a seat. May I offer you something to drink?" I tried my best to be the most gentlemanly person I could be. I wanted her to stay. There was something I needed to discuss. She was scared. It was easy to tell. Guilt, maybe? We had an open bottle. We seemed to be doing that a lot lately. I poured her a glass and took a Guinness for myself, pouring it into one of my chilled mugs. I brought her the drink and sat down next to her. She was practically shivering. I gotta hand it to her. She showed up, and I guess she was prepared to face the music. I was hoping she'd be honest. "Relax, Alice. I'm not going to bite." She leaned back in her seat, watching me warily. "Can I ask you one simple question?" She took a bracing sip of wine, then nodded. "Why? Why did you do that to her? Do you hate her so much? Did you purposely try to ruin our marriage? I thought we were getting along pretty well." There were tears in her eyes as she answered. "God, no, John. I don't hate her at all. She's my little sister. I love you guys." "Can you explain why?" "I screwed up, okay? I didn't mean for it to turn out like this. I never thought it would turn out like this, I swear. No, that's not okay. How could you convince my wife that a small gift could be given to anyone? That it wouldn't be cheating?" She was shaking. "Please," she whimpered. "I'll try to make it right. I feel awful about all this." "Why, Alice? Why did you do it?" "She didn't tell you?" "No. She still thinks you're pursuing her best intentions, trying to get her to divorce me, trying to keep us apart. I never expected this from you." She bowed her head, clutching the glass tightly between her palms. "I was scared. I had to protect my marriage. We're not as strong as you guys. I knew you guys would be okay, no matter what." "You never explained why." I said it softly, putting a hand on her shoulder. "I need to know. She saw me." The words came out so quietly, I almost missed them. "Have they seen you?" She nodded. "With Miguel?" "Our foreman?" Another faint nod. She was upset. Wanted to know how I could do it. I was so afraid she'd say something and Dan would find out. I told her it was no big deal, just a little gift, like in high school and college. Something we used to do to keep from going out. It was a way to avoid cheating. "Why are you doing this? Risk your marriage like this?" It was idiotic, I know. Dan and I don't have what you guys have. I get it maybe once a week. Maybe. I hear her talking about your life, and it's driving me crazy. I'm so excited. Miguel was there, working outside shirtless, his swarthy skin glistening. His shorts were tight and I could see a big bulge. I often tease him. And that day he grabbed me. I don't know why. Maybe I teased him too often. The timing was awful. A little earlier I had been on the phone with Wendy, and she had said she would be giving you a little gift morning, noon, and night. Remember, a couple weeks after Ginny was born. When he pushed me to my knees, God, John, I felt so vicious. Out in the street, fully clothed, and I'm being forced to do such a thing. She took another sip of wine. I have no excuses, really. I knew I shouldn't do it. I guess I tried to convince myself of the same thing. It was like high school, a little gift. And that was it. I wouldn't let him touch me. I was horny as hell. But I wasn't going to cheat on Dan. I'd just give the guy a gift. I waited for her, silently. I did it. He didn't even make me do it. She sobbed. I'm so screwed up, so screwed up. I liked him saying things in Spanish. Bad things, I just knew it. Alice set down her glass and turned to me. Bad fucking timing. That's what it was. Wendy came out of the back door practically shouting my name. I was about to pull away, but he put his hand on my head and shoved it back in, holding my head until he finished the game. I didn't resist. I couldn't. Even when he finished it, I didn't turn away. I accepted it. It was so dirty, naughty, and he stood there smiling at my sister. The bastard pulled up his shorts, patted me on the head like a dog, and walked back out into the yard. That's when she confronted me, and I explained that it was just a little gift. It was no big deal. It's not like I cheated. He didn't even touch me. It only took a few weeks to get her to accept it. I felt guilty, but I was trying to save my marriage. At our expense. No, never. She never wanted anyone but you. There's no way she'd do it with anyone else. She got you for all her little gifts. You never turned her down. We all knew. All she had to do was touch your zipper. Why would she even go to anyone else? Until she didn't. The water bubbled again. How was I supposed to know that bastard Tom would use the same tactics? Come on, Wendy. It's just a little gift. It's not like you're really cheating. Damn him. She looked up at me. Yes, she told me. Right after she did it. She was even going to tell you, but I told her we had to keep it a secret. It wasn't really cheating, but Marie would be upset because she's not giving him anything. She grabbed my hand. I'm so sorry, John. I swear I never thought in a million years that she would do that. I think I started to believe in it a little bit myself. I told myself I'd only do it once. It was a mistake, but never again. Damn, Miguel didn't see it that way. He was either working on something or taking a break. He came right up to me in the kitchen, grabbed me by the shoulders, and pushed me to my knees. I'm such a stupid fool. I would have said yes right away. Gave him my best once over, and then went back to doing the dishes without saying a word. The next time Wendy caught me, she just sat there and watched. She even gave me advice. She was watching you? Is that all she did? Did she do that to him too? Alice shook her head quickly. No way. The worst thing she ever did was give him a handshake for a few seconds when I answered the phone. That was only once. Kill me with a crowbar. Did she do what I think she did to him? Not really. It only lasted a couple minutes. He brought his toy up to her mouth, but she just laughed and turned away. Damn it, Alice. I wasn't thinking, you know. By then, I was really sure it wasn't cheating. She looked at me a little surprised, and the bastard shrieked as if her hand was better than mine. Wendy blushed, turned her head away, and slowly continued on while I was on the phone, and as soon as I was done, she took it back. I was a little pissed. That was the last time I did something like that to him. I don't know what to say, I muttered, leaning back against the back of the couch. Do you know how close I came to ending our marriage? I was so angry that if she hadn't gotten in the car with me, I would have driven to the motel and started filing for divorce that Monday. I was devastated. If I didn't have a new daughter, I don't think I would have let her back in our house that night. Alice pulled her knees up to her chest and swayed, tears streaming down her cheeks. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. What did you say to Dave? I asked. Nothing. I'm scared to death. I know he's going to find out everything now. 6 times I've done this. 6 times, and each one is a nail in the coffin of my marriage. There's no way he'll ever forgive me." She looked up at me. "I'm terrified. I don't know what to do." If I had heard this on that first weekend of pain and humiliation, I shudder at the thought of what I might have done to her. A selfish little cheater convincing his wife that a small gift was okay and making a fool of his marriage. Now, I was looking at her with far more pity than I should have. I should have laughed in her face, called Anne, tell her she deserved it, and more. Instead, I leaned over and lifted her off the couch and sat her on my lap, hugging her. "You really messed up, didn't you?" I told her softly. She nodded, resting her head on my shoulder, unable to hold back her sobs. I put my arms around her, stroking her hair soothingly. "This is the last time, do you understand? I can't let you ruin my marriage again. I'll accept that it was a mistake, and you regret it, but I'm not happy with you, Alice. And not just because of this whole gift-giving thing. You made my wife do it to another man. You made her a cheater. I'm very angry with both of you right now. What am I going to do, John? Have I ruined my life, my marriage? I'm so confused." She looked at me with obvious distress. I gently brushed away her tears. I wish I could help you. I'd suggest you meet with your mom and sister and work things out. Your mom is a smart girl. The 3 of you need to decide what's best, confessing everything or trying to bury it and let you suffer the guilt for the sake of your relationship. I'm willing to go along with whatever decision you make." She leaned her head against my shoulder, snuggling against it. "Why are you acting like this? I thought you were going to rip my head off. I deserved it. It's over. I believe you that you regret it, and I believe it won't happen again. I hope you've learned your lesson. If you ever get Wendy involved in anything like this again, I will do everything in my power to destroy you, family or not. Once, and only once, I will forgive you. Why are you being so nice to me? You were awful to Wendy. You almost destroyed her. I can't believe you brought home a girl and made my sister watch what she does to you." I felt anger boiling up inside me. "You should shut up when you're ahead, you selfish little fool. I wasn't destroying my wife. I was trying to save her. To save us. You actually convinced her that the little gift didn't matter, and that she wasn't cheating. Not my words, not the words of her friends, not even her mother could convince her otherwise. No, I was the bastard who made a big deal out of the fact that she had done this to our friends. She even stood up for them. So I showed her, made her see what a little gift from someone else looked like. And still she clung to the idea that she'd never cheated. She had no idea what she'd done to us, to me. It wasn't until she spent the day with that wench repairing the damage you'd done that Wendy finally realized that was all I wanted. I took her by the chin and forced her to look me in the eye. You and your selfish cover-up of cheating almost ruined my marriage. That wench as you like to call her, saved it. She didn't need it. She wasn't interested in anything. She wasn't a family member. Just a suffering, lost 18-year-old in a desperate situation. She did everything she could to keep me from making things worse. And together with your mother, she repaired the damage you had done, and perhaps made us even stronger. I stared at her, my hand tensing. She was probably in pain. I've forgiven you. I've forgiven you. But if you ever say anything bad about Kelly again, you will no longer be welcome in my house or anywhere near me. Do you understand? Despite my hand on her chin, she nodded. I let go of her and kissed her cheek. No more talking about this, okay? I could still get really upset. I didn't know, Jim. I'm sorry. How could I have known? Nobody's talking to me. They won't return my calls. They won't let me in the house. You're the first person who took the time to talk to me, and I hurt you the most. I'm so confused right now. I hugged her. I know it is. It's going to get worse before it gets better. They'll talk to you tonight. You may not like it, but they will. At least Wendy will. I think your mom will too. That's when my cell phone rang, and I picked it up, still holding on to Alice. Hey babe, I said, recognizing her number. We're on our way. Is there anything you need to pick up? No, I just need you, desperately. She laughed. You've done this to me 1,000,000 times. Aren't you sick of your old wife? Never, I love you. Okay, that's enough nonsense. Keep this up and I won't be able to drive. I'll see you in a couple minutes. I hung up and put the phone aside. "Finish your wine," I said to Alice. She looked nervous as she finished her last drink. I went in to check on my daughter, who thankfully slept like a rock, as she was supposed to for 18 hours a night. No, I wasn't jealous. I turned back to Alice. "I'm sorry about what happened, but you brought this on yourself. I hope you'll forgive me later." She furrowed her brow in confusion. "For what?" "I pulled my pants down, what my wife did to Miguel, and now you are going to do it to me." "I'll do nothing of the sort." She gasped. "That's the way it's going to be. You made my wife give one of them to a stranger. It never occurred to her to make that little confession when she was telling me who she was cheating with. Now she'll see you give me one. No, John, don't do it. Get started, Alice, right now, or I swear to God I call your husband, and you're out the door for good. Take your pick." She looked up at me, but there was no anger in her gaze. She reached out to me. "Do you want me to give you a little gift?" she asked. "No. Let me fix it." "Hell no. Not that I don't enjoy it, but we're not going there. I won't betray my wife like that. It's a simple lesson for her. If she held anything else back, she's in for one hell of a payback." I looked down at her, not saying that I really disliked the company I would be sharing her with if she did this. Alice moved closer, her face only a few inches from mine. I could feel her breathing. "No, I know everything. Tom, Aaron, Jared, and that's it, maybe a minute with Miguel. That's all. No one else since you got engaged." I thought it was interesting that she didn't say at what point Wendy had gotten to know me. Only since we got engaged. We'll talk about that another time. Meanwhile, I was looking at the architect of many of our woes. I suppressed my anger while her hand did what it needed to do. She leaned forward and licked it. "Don't, Alice," I warned her. She looked at me sadly. "I can't do anything more than that, but I need a good glide, John. That's all." Her words were followed by a careless continuation that turned into something more. "I'm so sorry, John. I never meant to hurt you. That's enough, Alice. This is just a reminder to you," I reminded her. There was pity in her voice as she muttered, "I know. I'll say this about that little fool. She did it like her sister did a little gift. The loving attention, the tender touches, the adoring glances. It all reminded me of Wendy. I was even beginning to enjoy it as something other than revenge. I was about to stop her when I heard a car pull up to the driveway. Do it well. It's showtime." I stood over my sister-in-law, whose adultery had caused so many problems in my marriage. She looked remorseful. I still found it hard to believe that my wife had done that low bastard like that and kept it from me. I forgave her. All she had to do was be honest. But no, she was still hiding everything. Now she was about to learn that keeping secrets from me was unacceptable. The front door opened, and I turned slightly to give them a better view. Wendy was the first to notice. She stood motionless, dropping her bags, and I could see a variety of emotions dancing on her face. I recognized the understanding. Kelly was only a little behind her, but only one emotion stood out: anger, loud and strong. She dropped her bags and headed toward me. "Damn you, John, you bastard!" Wendy caught her arm. "No, stop, Kel. Up." I heard fussing and then crying over the monitor. I left the three of them and picked up my daughter. She needed to be changed and had already calmed down when I cleaned her up, dressed her, and brought her back to the living room. The crying stopped, and they huddled together, whispering. Kelly got up and took my baby girl from me and handed her to Wendy to feed her. "I'm going to go take care of him, okay?" said Kelly. Wendy nodded and Kelly turned to Alice. "Call your mom. On the house phone. Tell her we said she needs to come over. All three of us. Tell her that." Kelly took my hand and led me back to the bedroom. She smiled as she pulled my pants off. Up, down, up, down. We have to get you to put your kilt on to make access easier." "I didn't know, Kelly. I swear." She pushed me back onto the bed. "I know. We all know. You're such a sweetheart. You have one mind for a wife." She looked back at me. "Get rid of that shirt." I did, and she climbed onto the bed with me. "Still no follow-through, okay?" I nodded. She lay on top of me and kissed me gently. "You should have talked to her. Not do it like this. I thought we were past that point. She makes me so angry. I thought she was being honest with me, and then I found out she cheated again." I'm wondering again how much longer. Was she ever faithful? Kelly kissed me gently. She loves you. She's fucked up. You have to accept that for a few weeks, she was an idiot. I believe she's completely over what she did. Isn't she? How could she forget about doing a handshake with another man? I still felt anger, but Kelly's soft touches were soothing. The little kisses didn't hurt either. It made no difference to her. She had no emotion for him. She wasn't cheating, I'm sure. Not in her mind. Believe me, it's not that hard to get to the point where an evening with a man becomes just a dirty act. Boring and unpleasant with someone you have no feelings for. Something you can just get on with. I hugged her. I'm sorry, Angel. Sometimes I forget. She squeezed me back. Shit, I wish I could. God, I wish I could. It's only when I'm with the two of you that I can let it slip my mind. I'm so much worse than her. I've done terrible things. And yet, you hold me. You love me. Can't you do the same for her? She made promises, vows. She was supposed to be mine and no one else's. It hurts so much when I imagine her doing those things. Kelly bit her lip. She's been sick for almost 5 weeks. You forgave her. It was part of that time. Another stupid mistake. Let's believe she's forgotten, okay? Please? I believe it. I really do. She's not intentionally hiding it. If there are more of them, I don't know what I'll do, I said with annoyance. She squeezed me tightly. We'll talk to her. We'll find out if there was something else. Not just a little gift. Anything. She sat down, smiling. How do you want it? On your knees? Maybe I should lie down with my head over the edge? She reached down. Can I hold you for a while? She hurt me again, Kelly. I saw her tear up a little. Suit yourself. She got off the bed. Let's get under the covers, okay? It's cool in here if we don't do anything hot. She climbed under my blanket and snuggled up against me. Thank you, she whispered, kissing my shoulder. For what? This. Don't get me wrong. I really like giving you little gifts. I just know that something bigger would be incredible. But to choose this? The hug, the closeness. It's the kindest, most beautiful thing you could do for me. I like holding you, Angel. You must already know that. She climbed on top of me again, wiggling, getting comfortable. Deep down, I'm starting to believe it. In my head, I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. This can't go on much longer. I don't deserve this. No way. I have to stand firm, ready for this whole thing to blow up in my face. I pressed against her, wrapping my arms around her. For the moment, run from your heart. I never want to let you go. You're married to her. I kissed the side of her face. Yes, I love her more than anything in the world. I don't mean to be cruel, but she's my wife, my first true love, the mother of my child. I loosened my grip, stroking her back lightly. You have a place in my heart, Kelly, a big one. You're no substitute for my wife, but I love you, and I will as long as you let me. You're a good person, and you have to let yourself believe that. You deserve the best. I swear by all that is holy, I will do everything in my power to make sure you get it. I want to believe you, she murmured. You want me to forgive Wendy for everything? Forgive yourself. Do it for me. I'd like to. You can. It's a choice. Accept that you've done some bad things, made some bad choices. That doesn't make you bad. You are a good person who has made some mistakes. It's time to forgive yourself and make better choices. I'm trying, she replied. I know. You don't have to go alone. Lean on me. On me and Wendy. We're your family now. She nodded. We didn't talk again until I realized she was sleeping on my chest. I was already awake and pondering when Wendy opened the door. She looked at us and smiled. Did you wear her out? Talked and cuddled, that's all, I said quietly as she lay down next to me. I'm sorry about Miguel. That was the only time, and I've never done that to anyone else. I swear, John, it slipped my mind. It didn't matter to me. I know it was meant to be, but I'm a little out of it. I'm so sorry. I know. I overreacted. I'm still angry. We'll get over it. I'll be on my best behavior. I'm sorry too. I should have talked to you. It was completely wrong of me. She kissed me. We're going to be perfect. The envy of all couples. I know you love me, and I hope you know I love you more than anything. I hate what I've done to us, but I'll make it up to you. She reached out and ran her hand down Kelly's narrow back. "Hold her for a little while. Mom's here and the three of us need some time. I'll come get her when you need her." She gave me another quick kiss and stood up. She was about to say something, but stopped. I smiled. "What? What were you going to say? About the rules? You know I won't break them." She nodded. "Yes, I'm still a little jealous. But then I see the look in your eyes and realize I can trust you. Absolutely. If you wanted more, you would have told me, wouldn't you?" I laughed softly. "She's a beautiful young girl. You're awfully gullible, aren't you?" She climbed on the bed again and started kissing me. After a while, she pulled away. "If it did what I think it did to you, remember, just not the standard method." She grinned. "There you go. Feel better now?" She got off the bed. "And yes, I am very gullible. Absolutely. You would never hurt me. Not even that shit with Alice, I understand, and I probably did. What I did to Miguel was cheating too, and I would never do that for anyone but you." Message delivered. I hated to ask, but I couldn't help myself. "Is there anything else I need to know about the last few months?" She shook her head. "I don't think so, but we'll sit down later, and I promise I'll try to tell you everything I did that was even remotely questionable, okay? I don't need any more surprises." I nodded. "You better leave, or your mom might come back here looking for us." Wendy grinned. "The last thing we need is for her to get in there with you. You're causing a lot of trouble, you know that?" "Hey, it wasn't my fault." "No, the rotten girl in your hands was a big instigator, but you're responsible for her. You're the one who brought her into this house." "Do you regret it now?" I asked softly. "No, it's probably the smartest thing you've ever done, but I'll still hold it over you. Wife's prerogative." She grinned, kissed me, and walked away. Kelly woke up after a while and kissed me sleepily. I responded, but with more force. Soon we were kissing like teenagers, lying on our sides, facing each other, our hands not obeying. Dear viewer, there was a very vulgar scene that had to be cut out and left only in the Patreon version. She propped herself up on her elbows, looking down at me. "Wow," she said, smiling. "That was amazing." I wiped my face on the sheets, then climbed on top of her and kissed her. "Did you like it?" "Did you like it? That was the best part. Everything. Don't tease me." "Tease? You teased the shit out of me. I loved every minute of it. I didn't think it could be like this. God, you're driving me crazy, John." She kissed me hard. "I need to tell Wendy, okay? It wasn't just a little gift or a hug. I have to let her know, or I'll feel like shit. I already feel guilty." "Of course, no secrets. Do you think she'll let you do it again?" I laughed, wrapping my arms around her. "We can ask, right?" She leaned back on the headboard, turning her head from side to side. "Wow," she whispered. She looked around and noticed that it was already dark outside. "Damn, how long have we been here?" "A few hours." "Is Mom coming?" she asked, climbing on top of me like I was her personal jungle gym. "Yeah, they're all talking about it. Wendy said she's coming to get you." Kelly gave me a wicked grin. "I bet you'd like to see that." "You know what I mean, devilish." She giggled and kissed me. "Behave yourself. Someone's down there looking for a house, and there's no way he's poking around in the wrong one." Another quick kiss. "Besides, I thought I was your angel." "It is." "Can I do something for you now? At least until they come for me?" "I wouldn't have it any other way." She smirked. "Tired of just holding me in your arms? Am I a toy now?" "I hardly think I'll ever tire of holding you, but you offered—" "Yes, it's about time, Buster. That big toy is mine." She was as beautiful as ever. She tormented me. Wendy came after us and watched for a while. "Finish him off, you rotter. It's time for you to join the fight, too." Kelly stood up. "Want to help?" Wendy shook her head. "I have to go back there to make sure Mom doesn't kill Alice. She's angrier than all of us. I might even have to hire hubby to calm her down. Stop torturing my man, and then you both come to your senses and join us." Kelly was still angry and wouldn't let go of me for a few more minutes. "Please," I begged. "I beg, I beg." Finally, she agreed and looked up at me. I saw her glance at her watch. "Cool. I'll tell Mum you can go on for 56 minutes. I've been going for an hour. You should have let me. Some other time. We've got company, you devil. She pouted. Angel, I'm your angel. I laughed and pulled her to me to hug and kiss her. Yes, that's right. I love my little angel. Now get cleaned up before we go outside. She stood up and reached into Wendy's closet, pulling out a yellow sundress. She put it on. Ta-da! Panties? No way. I'm too angry today. She turned toward the bathroom. Are you just going to lie there and stare at me? You come out of there looking like that, and you'll be eaten alive. I stood up and grabbed my boxers. Behave yourself. She brushed her hair and smiled at me. It would be fun to see what would come of it. A wife, a mother, and a sister. That would be pretty epic. Behave yourself, snapped I playfully. She stuck her tongue out. Okay, for a little while. But I'm definitely going to misbehave tonight, once we get the other two off my back. She came over and gave me a quick kiss. Don't take too long. Mean girl. My role was simple. They were sitting at the dining room table, and the tension could have been cut with a knife. First, I walked over to Carol, leaned over to her, gave her a hug and a kiss. Thank you so much for coming and judging. You're the best. She seemed to calm down a bit. You didn't need to get involved. I promised you we'd take care of it. I know, I explained. It's just that there were questions I had to ask myself when she showed up unannounced. That's as far as it goes. I leave the rest in your capable hands. Don't be too hard on her. I walked over to Alice and turned her chair around to face me. I'm sorry for my behavior. I was out of line. She shook her head. No, John, I'm the one who overreacted. That's how you reacted. Perfectly understandable. However, I wanted you to know that I'm sorry, and that as far as I'm concerned, you're completely forgiven. I know you won't do anything to hurt us again. She shook her head quickly. Never, I swear. I leaned over and kissed her gently. We're going to get through this, all of us, together. You're our family and we all love you. She threw herself around my neck and hugged me tightly. Thank you, she whispered. I felt like I had done almost everything I could. I turned to the table. There's a big empty space where our Christmas tree should be. I'll go to the Boy Scouts and pick out a nice tree. I'll be gone too long. Not so big this year, Wendy said. Think back to last time. Don't remind me. I walked over to Kelly and gave her a quick kiss goodbye and then finished with my wife, giving her a reminder of my intentions for later. Her mother teased us that they still had things to do before I was done. I took my time, digging through the sparse remnants. I guess I was lucky to have found a tree at all. A 7-foot-tall blue spruce with one ugly gap in its branches that I was going to hide against the wall. For a moment, I wondered if there were rules about children and live trees, the dangers of eating pine needles and the like. Over the past few months, my life has changed in many ways. The birth of a child was obvious. The wife's cheating was more painful. The teenager was unexpected. The closer relationship with her mother-in-law was weird. Hell, everything was getting weird. I stopped for a beer at the local pub with the ubiquitous name Ted's. Not being a fan of hard liquor, I visited this place rarely, mostly to watch sporting events when I couldn't watch them on TV. MMA fights, boxing matches, soccer games, March Madness. I'm not a total sports fanatic, but I do enjoy it occasionally. I sipped my beer, pondering the great question. What to do about Tom? It was harder than it should have been. The crux of the problem was that I had no desire to hurt Marie in any way. She was a great friend and a nice person who had done nothing wrong. Expose him and cause a divorce. Will that help her or hurt her? Damage him financially, and eventually she will have to pay, at least partially. Humiliate him publicly, and she will suffer with him. Fuck! That really sucked. Why wouldn't my wife cheat with some stranger where I wouldn't care what the collateral damage was? The more I thought about it, the more I kept coming back to the same thought. Direct physical retribution. Something that I, as a man, had been programmed to desire, and that, for the most part, would only affect those who were intended. Politically incorrect, I know, but damn it, there was something satisfying about the idea. I wasn't prone to violence, but I didn't avoid it. I'd been in a lot of fights as a kid and in college, so I knew I could hold my own, but against the wrong opponent, I'd turn into mincemeat. Fortunately, Tom was not the wrong opponent. Physically unimpressive and visually out of shape, I once again wondered, why him? I remembered Paul offering me an alibi or even direct help. I wasn't a former Navy SEAL, a Green Beret, a Kung Fu expert. I didn't have mob ties or a best friend who liked to hurt people. Or is it? No, it wasn't. I couldn't trust anyone, and besides, there was a certain sensual satisfaction in being hurt directly, personally. My original intention to use a stun gun, kidnap, and give her a good tasing had been stolen by my wife. Now, I was leaning toward the dark alley and the prolonged application of some sort of blunt weapon to various parts of Tom's anatomy. Between his legs would be particularly appropriate, but that might give away too much. Who but me would want to hurt him there? Wait, that was a great question. Could someone else have a reason to want to hurt him? If he was the kind of man who had shamelessly stalked my wife and involved others, then maybe there was something more behind it. There were a few questions that kept my hindbrain begging for attention. Questions that needed answers. Details that didn't make sense. A. I may have had the beginnings of a plan after all. When I got home, things were mostly quiet, and the ladies had gotten together to clear a spot for the tree and help secure the trunk in the stand. I had sap on my hands and arms and a watery eye where one branch had poked, but at least we had a damn fine tree standing in our living room. I went to clean up and came back to 4 lovely ladies decorating a secular Christmas icon. There was holiday music playing on the stereo, and you'd think there wasn't a bad thing in the world. I was working on the lights when Carol spoke up. We won't tell him, I nodded, checking the little lights to see why half the filament wasn't lit. Wendy stood next to me. Aren't you going to say something? Maybe get mad? Say what? What you think, she replied. Okay, do I think she should tell him? Yes, but I'm not sure. I don't know their relationship, what it would take. I'd rather find out and figure it out, but that's me. What she did is bad, but not unforgivable. But seriously, I think you all know better. The only question is, what if he finds out? I think that would be even worse. Why would he want to know that? Asked Kelly. Oh, I don't know. Maybe because Miguel might blackmail her. Then Alice would have a choice, expose her or keep doing it. I'm damn sure she won't keep doing it because then I'll tell Dan. Alice spoke up. Do you really think he can do that? What man would want to turn down easy pleasure without commitment, especially if he's being paid for it? I turned to her. When was the last one? Over 2 weeks ago, she admitted. And he wasn't looking for more? He only came back once and I didn't make it. When I was there, I made sure I had a few people with me. If you're not going to tell Dan, you're going to have to figure out what to do about Miguel. That's all I'm going to say. Who else knows? Just the people in this room. And we won't tell, I said, nodding. Hopefully, if word leaks out about Wendy's foul play, it won't lead back to you. Wendy scolded me. I already took care of it. For now. But that doesn't mean it's going to stay. 3 people who have already told many others. Even if those people say they've taken it back. Rumors are flying around. The subject is broached. Paul said he never believed it, but not everyone is like Paul. He was standing with 2 other men when he was told. One would assume that there would be quite a few men who would want to see if the rumors are true. Who knows if the women have heard anything? We know Marie is wondering that. If it gets into the wives' gossip, it will spread like wildfire. Wendy looked visibly upset. Do you really think guys are going to start hitting on me? That wives are going to start talking? Guys? Pretty much guaranteed. Why not? If you did Tom or Jared, hell, you'd do anybody. That's how they'd take it. Carol spoke up. You don't have to talk about it, John. I grinned as a string of lights came on. I'm not a mum, I swear. Damn, I wish that wasn't true. I have no doubt that dozens of men have heard that story. Tom and the others can deny it to those they told directly. But what about the next on the list? Reputations, once questioned, are almost impossible to clear. Wendy moved away from the tree and sat down. Damn. This just keeps getting worse and worse, doesn't it? You warned me that first night. I know. I walked over and sat down next to her. It's not going to get any worse. The worst part is us, and that's taken care of. Now we have to find a way to survive the aftermath. How? Asked Wendy. Dear viewers, the 7th installment of our story sheds light on the heartaches and hard decisions faced by our characters. John, torn between resentment and the desire to save his marriage, is forced to face the consequences of the infidelity of his wife and her sister, Alice. This installment shows that sometimes secrets kept silently for years can turn out to have fatal consequences for all parties involved. John realizes that forgiveness is not weakness, but a powerful act of strength and love that can save not only someone's reputation, but the whole meaning of an existing relationship. At the same time, uncovering secrets can carry both liberation and new burdens. The eighth and final installment promises to be the climax and resolution of many problems. We will have to quench our curiosity. How will John resolve the issue with Tom? And how will all members of this crippled family deal with the consequences of their actions? Will there be healing, or will new trials await them on their journey to true harmony and understanding? For those who may have found echoes of their own experiences and questions in this story, the full uncensored version is available on our Patreon. The art of storytelling is the bridge that connects together the most intimate corners of our souls, allowing us to reflect and perhaps find inspiration for our own solutions. Don't miss Part 8, where each character will have to choose their own path to redemption or destruction.